I like to say bipeds, but I'm okay with humans. You don't have to be a biped. You could be a single ped or a no ped. I don't mind. It's humans. Hey, Stephen Sashen, CEO, co-founder of XeroShoes.com. This is our monthly Ask Me Anything where you can ask me anything, whether it's about minimalist footwear, barefoot footwear, how to transition, what you should get, what you should or shouldn't do in them, etc., how to pick the right shoe, foot strength, you name it, or egads. I mean, anything involving moving and running using those things at the end of your legs called your feet. This is a live event. So if you are watching this live, you can put in your questions and comments. I will see them over there on my screen. So when you see me looking over there, it's because I'm reading, like this one from Elif. How are you getting? Hi, are you getting more size of the original women's HFS? You're out of it for some time. We're not getting any more of the original HFS. We have upgraded that with the HFS 2, which is available on our website at xeroshoes.com, but not currently at xeroshoes.eu. They're going to have those shortly. And Particular says hello, hey man, or hey person, or hey human. I don't know. Anyway, so again, whatever you have. Now, if you're watching this live, again, questions and comments over there. If you're not watching this live, that's okay. You can still put your questions and comments below or somewhere, and we will respond to them as soon as we can. Now, really quickly, for anyone joining us who is not hip to Xero Shoes, by the way, it's been a long day. My brain is, I think mush is the medical term. If you're not hip to what Xero Shoes are all about, let me just give you the world's fastest intro about that. It's simple. We're here to help your body do its job. So by starting by letting your feet do their job. And what I mean by that is simple. A quarter of the bones of your entire body are in your feet and ankles. That's for movement. That's for balance, agility, and mobility. You also have, well, and if you don't let your feet do that job of, letting those bones and joints move, all that function tries unsuccessfully to move upstream into your ankle, your knee, your hip, your back. Not a good thing. Secondly, you have more nerve endings in the soles of your feet than anywhere but your fingertips and your lips. That's so your brain can get the feedback it needs to know how to move your body over the terrain you're on, to be effective, efficient, most importantly, enjoyable as you are walking, running, hiking, or doing whatever it is you like to do on your feet. So what was I going to say about that? I don't know. Again, can I tell you? Mush brain? All right. So everything we do with Xero Shoes is designed to let your feet do their job again, so the rest of your body can do its job. Starting with a wider foot-shaped toe box. Your toes can spread, relax, do what's natural. Low to the ground design for balance and agility. There we go. Get that out of the way. Super, super flexible to let those bones and joints do what they're supposed to do. Of course, your feet never do this, but you get the idea. That lets them, shows they'll bend and move. This is also great for travel, although technically that's even better for travel, but you get the idea. The soles are designed to give you traction and protection, of course, but also that ground feeling that I mentioned that you need to move efficiently, effectively, and enjoyably. And they're backed with a 5,000 mile sole warranty, unlike most running shoes where they say replace them every 200 to 500 miles, even shorter amount of time for those big, thick shoes. We back our shoes with a 5,000 mile sole warranty. And you can have more or less barefoot feel. All of our shoes have a removable insole or sock liner. Keep it in if you want more protection. Take it out if you want more of a barefoot feel. And that's the gist of what we're doing here. So a couple questions came in. What's going through your mind when you were on Shark Tank? From Chris Kelly. We taped that 11 years ago, and I just remember I was just having a good time. So the whole thing was just answer the questions and do not in any way be defensive, which is easy because there's nothing that they could say to us where we would argue. Because if, Kevin at one point said, hey, you're crazy. And I think I said, could be. So, there's nothing anyone can say about me that I can't find in a way that's either factually incorrect, so who cares, or literally true or metaphorically true. And so why would I argue with someone criticizing me if I think the same thing they do? And we were frankly hoping that we would get a really good offer from a bunch of the sharks because we knew Robert was a runner, although he admitted to he hadn't run for a while. We knew that Kevin was hip to the whole barefoot idea because he had invested in promoting Skechers with their first minimalist shoe. We knew that Damon was hip to footwear, and we knew that Barbara was a great entrepreneur and might like what we're doing. And the only person we didn't think would be interested was Kevin, and he's the one who made us an offer. So you never know. Mark says, hey, Steve, bought the Prio Neo. I live in Australia. I've had a number of positive comments. Not many know what they are. Great shoes. Well, we have a lot of interesting things happening in Australia and New Zealand, and I'm looking forward to our awareness growing significantly from some of those things. But thanks for that comment. Kathleen says, I started wearing your shoes in 2020. I wear barefoot shoes. I would love a wider shoe than your men's shoes currently are. Is that a possibility? anything's possible, but that doesn't mean it's doable, because making something, well, first of all, it depends on what shoe you're talking about, because some shoes will stretch, some shoes have less stretch, depending on what we're talking about. And making any new shoe costs a lot of money. So it's possible, but like it says in the tiny little caption that you can barely read, just leave that suggestion at xeroshoes.com/feedback. Ideally, picture of your foot and the shoe, and then your foot in the shoe, and show us where you think the width problems are coming from. We'll see what we can do. Stevie says, tough shoes. Okay. Durability thing. Bilal, when going downhill, should we forefoot striking? Do that on flat terrain. So here's the deal. This whole idea of where you land on your foot, I'm in a mood where I can't edit. It's complete bullshit. Okay. Everyone's talking about where do I land on my foot, and it's all bullshit. And here's why I say that. The important thing is landing with your foot underneath your center of mass, underneath your body. If you do that, whether you're rolling over your heel, landing on your forefoot, landing flat-footed, etc., it will all take care of itself, depending on whether you're going uphill, downhill, fast, slow, accelerating, decelerating. Don't worry. I was thinking about this morning, actually, when I was going on a steep downhill in my neighborhood. And sometimes I will think about just bending the leg that is on the ground and just placing the foot wherever it happens to land. Sometimes I'll land on my forefoot as long as it's underneath my body. Sometimes I'll land kind of flat-footed as long as it's underneath my body. Sometimes I'll roll over my heel as long as it's, guess what? Underneath my body. Because if you're landing with your foot in front of you, whether you're going uphill, downhill, on a flat, you're putting on the brakes with every step, and you want to not put on the brakes. That's the bottom line. So play with that and see what that does. And pardon me if it sounded rude when I'm not trying to say your question was bullshit. This is just one of those things where people get their panties in a wad about like being really attentive to where they're landing. And I'll tell you where I got hip to how this is completely misguided. Some people have this idea, hey, you're supposed to land on your forefoot, and they overstride and point their toes and land on their forefoot way in front of their body. Again, putting on the brakes and putting extra strain on the metatarsals, those bones in your feet. That ain't right. So if you land with your foot under you or as close to under you as possible, most of the rest will take care of itself. Best thing I can say. Okay. Brett, would inserts interfere with the shoe? I'm prone to shin splints and back pain without them. I'm not going to tell you what to do or not do, other than, land with your feet underneath your body. If you feel you need an orthotic, knock yourself out. I will tell you that wearing Xero shoes is the best platform if you feel like you need something like that, because it's already flat. There's no toe spring. It's flexible. It's not going to get in the way. There's no built-in arch support to get in the way of what that insert is doing. And so give that a whirl. I would suggest, though, trying and see if just in short bursts, short doses, walking and running just with these or barefoot, and see what happens, because shin splints are typically a tibialis related thing. I'm not going to get into details, but we have found a lot of people have found that just by getting used to natural movement, that can be what's the word I'm looking for? Addressed in some way. Yikes, a bunch of things came in. Hold on. Cannonball James Roberts. Wish I had the Mesa Trail waterproof for disc golf last week. My feet were soaked and I had wet feet all day. Timing, as they say, is every thing. Bill Law, what's the difference between the Mesa Trail 2 and the Scrambler Low for trail running? The grip, basically the Scrambler Low is just a super, super highly technical shoe, lighter weight, more flexible, grippier tread, more breathable. I mean, it's with the Michelin outsole, just everything about it is just one step up, hence the premium price point as well. Cannonball James, I had my regular Mesa Trail, which are great for disc golf, unless it's wet. Yeah, there you go. Actually, you know what? The other solution to waterproof would be something like the Aqua X Sport, which has the same tread as the Mesa Trail, but is like fully breathable. I mean, water just shoots out of it and it dries super, super fast. Someone told me that they just wore the Scrambler Low and also dried like super fast. Do with that what you will. Chris Kelly, the different shoe models hold up differently on pavement. I feel the heels of my Prios wear down quickly, but my flip-flops have lasted years. So 2 things. If you're getting excessive wear, it's telling you something that you're doing. we can't violate the laws of physics no matter how hard we try. So if you're getting a bunch of wear on the heel, guess what you're doing? You are putting excessive horizontal force where you're getting that wear. One thing I can tell you why it seems weird that it would happen on one shoe than versus the other, because the material is fundamentally the same. So it shouldn't make a difference. What you're experiencing is something I saw when I spent some time in the lab with Dr. Bill Sands, who was the former head of biomechanics and engineering for the US Olympic Committee. And that is, most people, not all, and I'll tell you who those people are in a second, most people change their gait when they put on different shoes. And here's the kicker: don't know they're doing it. So what I'm betting is that you're changing your gait when you put on the Prio versus when you're in the sandals. And again, probably aren't noticing. If you want to have fun, have someone videotape you from the side. And if you have an iPhone, use the super slow-mo version, 240 frames a second, so you can see what you might be doing differently because most of us, again, unaware of it. What I saw in the lab with Bill was people who called themselves very experienced barefoot runners, and they were. When they were running barefoot, perfect form. Then they said they did a lot of their running in 5 fingers. So they put on the 5 fingers, overstriding, heel striking, and again, did not know. So you're not alone. But I would take a gander and see if you discover that. Because again, there's a common thing that running coaches do when looking at people's running is we look at the sole of their shoe and just look and see where the abrasion points are. And that will tell you everything you need to know about their running form. If there's a lot of abrasion, like from here up, then they're pushing off with their toes in a way that's frankly completely useless, or overstriding and pointing their toes like I talked about before, but that usually ends up being more here than here. If there's a bunch of abrasion on the heel, again, it's heel striking typically, because there's not really anything else you can do. And then you can look, to see if they're landing on the outside of their foot, which is normal. You land on the outside and roll. But if you're seeing a bunch of abrasion, that means you're landing on the outside of your foot and doing something causing harm, either doing something really aggressive this way, which I can't even imagine that would be, or more typically landing here while pulling the foot back underneath them, which is not a good thing. So anyway, hope that's useful. Clive, just wondering, in a business sense, how much attention do you pay to your competitors' products and any new innovations they are making in the barefoot world? Well, we are always attentive to everything that's going on with all of our competitors, and there's new ones coming up all the time, which is awesome because that's bringing more awareness to this whole idea of barefoot shoes. I don't know why I put air quotes around it. But in fact, if you look at Google Trends, trends.google.com, and search for barefoot shoes and look both at the history from 2004 to the present, in the US and worldwide, you'll see that the interest in barefoot shoes is at a peak now, never been higher. So we pay attention, but one of the things we pay attention to be honest, is what is marketing. This is my word of the day. What is marketing bullshit and what is real? There's a lot of marketing bullshit out there. So one of the things that we are very, how do I want to put this, hypersensitive to is greenwashing. Greenwashing is making claims about eco-friendliness that are bullshit. And there's a lot of that. In fact, there was a Harvard Business Review article called The Myth of Sustainability. And if you look it up, you can find it. And basically it says that in the footwear and apparel world, sustainability is not really a thing. In the way that most people are presenting it. It's like some material that is, some massive eco-friendly thing. Usually it takes more effort and cost to produce those materials than their carbon benefit. In other words, they're not providing a net carbon benefit. And some, they are maybe providing a carbon benefit, but they don't last as long. So then they wear out and you need to buy more. And so more stuff ends up in a landfill. So our whole motto is A, tell the truth. B, use fewer materials compared to, traditional products, because minimalist shoes use fewer materials. So fewer materials, less energy to produce. That's a benefit. And the biggest thing we can do is keep things out of landfills. And we try to do that with our 5,000-mile sole warranty, making things just last longer. So hopefully that's useful. So we do pay attention, but that doesn't mean we try to copy people. In fact, we try deliberately not to. We try to do things based on what people like you say you want from us next. And when we see holes in our product line, we try to fill those holes. The biggest problem that we have from my perspective, as a guy who likes to do everything all at once, is that we can't do everything all at once. So we have plans for things through 2025 right now, and soon to be talking about 2026, because we just can't make everything we want as fast as we want. All right, let's move on. Kathleen, I stopped using inserts after wearing Xero, just a reference to something before. Lorenzo, do you think Big Shoe will ever step in the barefoot game? They made a half-hearted attempt back in 2010 and stopped because they couldn't tell two stories, the barefoot story and the highly cushioned story. So I think that it may happen once this whole barefoot thing gets more traction. There's some things that we're doing. I'll tell you this story. I can't tell you where it came from, but I was talking to someone about something we're doing that could have a massive, massive worldwide impact. And I said, the moment we have one of the people that you're dealing with wearing our shoes in the situation that has the massive worldwide impact, I said the big companies are going to have some sort of response. And he said, funny you should mention that. Somebody from Nike called me last week to ask about you. Now, I don't know what they asked about. I don't know if it was good news, bad news. I have no idea. I'm trying to find that out still. But we're on their radar. And so what I have learned in my business career is that when you have something that actually is better than somebody else, the somebody else doesn't respond by going, well, I guess we lost. Congratulations. Nor do they respond by trying to copy you right away. Their first response is trying to shut you down. So we'll see what Big Shoe does as things move forward. Will there be another sale from Knoll? We do sales under 3.5 conditions. There's three and a half. Wait, here we go. When we have our spring product launch, when we have our fall product launch, holiday, and 3 times in our history in 14 years, we've had to do something in the middle of that we did not want to do, but we had to. So during in 2020 with COVID, when we had a massive order from a major retailer get canceled for our sandals, we had to sell those because we were planning on doing an upgrade a year later, and we were sitting on that inventory, and we frankly didn't know if anyone was ever going to buy another shoe again. So we did a sale of the Z-Trail EV then, or the Z-Trail then. Last year we did the women's HFS. We had too much of that. And then this year we got overstocked on the Prio and the HFS when we were about to launch the HFS 2. So managing inventory is a real pain. So we try to avoid anything other than just product launches and our holiday sale when it's our Black Cyber, thanks Quanzmiscus anniversary, and warehouse clearance sale. So it's all of those holiday gift giving and buying things, as well as stuff where we just need to make space in the warehouse. So that'll be happening, in the appropriate time. You'll all get emails about that. If you're not getting an email from us letting you know about all the things going on, make sure you go to xeroshoes.com/subscribe, and you'll be hearing all the news. James says to Chris, I would think you might be subconsciously landing softer since the sandals you feel everything. Maybe softer, maybe again, just, foot placement. Who knows? Cannonball James says, I wear the Aqua sometimes. They shift more though with the stretchy laces. Oh yeah, good point. Good point. Viranjeeth, my kids' Prio lasts forever before their thick sole shoes would wear out so fast. Good to know. Paul R. the second. Hey, Stephen. Hi, Stephen. Any plans to expand the UK website? Yes, is the first answer. We are basically what's happening with xeroshoes.co.uk is right now we're having to do all the fulfillment through Amazon. So we didn't have all the inventory available, and that's getting changed. We have a warehouse that we're in final stages of testing with, and we're hoping within the next 3 to 4 weeks, xeroshoes.co.uk will be fully operational with, I don't know if it's the entire product line yet or almost all of it, but you'll see that coming soon. And again, we'll be sending out emails announcing that. Thanks also. Ran my first half marathon last month in Xero Shoes. Xero Shoes are why I took up running at Christmas. Lost 25 kilograms with the new lease of life too. For Americans, that's 55 pounds. Holy smokes. Congrats, Paul, and happy to hear it. Gabe, what would you say the normal break-in adjustment period is like transitioning to barefoot shoes? I've tried explaining this to folks in vain. Well, the shoes don't need to be broken in. You need to learn how to use your body naturally. So that gait change that is natural, it's a different amount of time for different people. So you can't tell someone, here's the amount of time, because it's different for everybody. And I'll tell you why. This is going to get a little in the weeds, but what the hell. So If I'm giving someone instruction on how to run barefoot in particular, here's what I say. Take off your shoes or get Xero shoes. Uh, Find a smooth, hard surface, bike path, sidewalk, side of a road, not grass, because grass, the turf, it's kind of spongy the way padding in a shoe is. And more importantly, there's things in that ground that you can't see, and the ground is things you can't see. Like I can't do sprinting training on grass because that little undulation, I know at some point I'm going to hit either a little elevated spot or a divot, and it's going to make me all wonky and could injure me. So I don't do that. So smooth hard surface, go for a very short run, like 20 seconds tops, maybe 30. And then if it hurts, do something different until you're feeling good and having fun. Now that's the instruction. Here's the thing. There are 4 different kind of neurological types, if you will. And this literally has to do with how your brain responds to feedback, and how it adapts to learning a new movement pattern. So some people, they literally can't tell if it hurts. I have seen people on grass do a barefoot run. They say they feel great, and then their feet are like ripped up like there's no tomorrow. They literally can't feel if it hurts. Those people just need to do a little walking around on mildly unpleasant surfaces just to reawaken that neural connection between your feet and your brain. Because here's the thing. If you have your feet in something where you can't feel the ground with all those 200,000 nerve endings in your soles, your brain eventually goes, all right, screw it. I won't pay attention anymore. And it makes it harder to move because not only is it not paying attention, it's not giving you the feedback about how to move properly. So it's a feedback loop, feedback to you, feedback from your brain to your feet. So again, walking on a mildly unpleasant surface can reawaken that neural connection, and then you're ready for the next part, which is getting that feedback from the ground to help you move differently. Because basically, look, here's the bottom line. If you're running barefoot, good form feels good. Bad form hurts. Not like screamingly, painful, but you're not going to land on your heel in bare feet because that really hurts. And if you give it some time, your brain, and experiment a little, more about that in a second, your brain and body will figure out how to do that thing that doesn't hurt so much, or in a way that doesn't hurt so much, but you need the feedback to do that. It's all about getting real-time feedback. Okay. All right. Second group of people. First group, they can't feel if it hurts. Second group, they can tell if it hurts, but they don't have great proprioceptive skills. Now, proprioception is the most misused word in the barefoot shoe world because it's not about feeling the ground. It's about knowing where your body is in space, knowing how you're moving. And so the thing that I've seen from people, they say things like, I don't heel strike. And then they send me a video and they're heel striking. They don't know where their leg is in space for where it lands. And then maybe they're not getting that feedback as well. But, I've seen people who, back when I was a young gymnast, when I was 12 years old, we had to learn how to put our arms parallel to the ground. And it took us months because A, we're young and uncoordinated, but B, parallel to the ground, from the way it looks to your eye, it looks like your arm is down. This is what parallel looks like to your eye. But even though you can't see, it's obviously not parallel. That's parallel. It took us months to learn that's parallel. So these people are the kind of people who say, I don't overstride or I don't heel strike. And then you look at video and they overstride and they heel strike. What's the recommendation for them? Video. So they can see that what they think they're doing is different than what they are doing and eventually make those corrections. Okay. Third group of people, they can feel if it hurts. They have decent proprioceptive skills. They just need some cues to shorten the learning process. If you could feel things and you just paid attention to what the feedback you're getting, and you gave yourself some time, anyone could figure out how to run or walk or do whatever with decent form, with good appropriate form, landing with your feet underneath you, et cetera, et cetera. And but there's some cues that can speed that up. Some of them are fun, like think about Fred Flintstone starting his car. His feet are behind him running in a circle and they never catch up to him. Think about trying to do that. Or think about lifting your foot off the ground before it even touches the ground. That's another good cue. Or pick up your cadence just a little bit, the number of steps per minute. Not much. Don't run faster. Just have a few more steps per minute. That's another cue. Or another cue is think about leaning forward from your ankles and don't let yourself fall. Don't let yourself catch up to that little bit of lean. So there's a bunch of cues that can just speed up the learning process. And then the fourth group of people, they're naturals. They just figure it out really quickly, but they have a problem too, because it's so much fun that they get tired. They do too much too soon and get tired and revert to one of those previous levels. So now the next bit of instruction is, if you're not having fun, use one of those cues to try and, make it not hurt and have fun. And once you can do that, sorry, if you can't do that, like if you do that 20-second run and you're sore the next day, if it's muscular soreness, like you went to the gym after you haven't been for a while, you want to start using less effort. You want to think about lifting your foot off the ground instead of pushing your foot off the ground. You want to make sure you're not overstriding and pointing your toes, because then keep having to slow down when you hit the ground. That's putting strain on your calves, for example. So you want to use less effort, make it fun. Once you can do that 20 seconds, and by the way, if you do that 20 seconds and the next day it feels like you hurt something, then it's definitely a form issue you want to pay attention to. For both the muscular soreness and the doing something wrong pain, wait till you feel good, give it one more day, then try it again, and just do something a little different. One thing you can try, especially that's kind of fun, is run on a slight uphill. And the reason I suggest that is because it's almost impossible to really overstride and heel strike when you're running on a slight uphill. And then when you get to the top of the hill, just try and keep doing that same thing you're doing. But the key is, once you can do 20 seconds, fine, add 10 seconds the next time. When that feels good, add 10 seconds the next time, et cetera, et cetera. Build up based on the feedback you're getting. So that was a crazy long answer to your question, which is basically the short version. It's different for everybody. But human beings have been doing this since there have been human beings. And the research is very clear that this is the right way to do things. And so if you want to, it's going to take a little bit of time, but here's the other answer. Which would you rather do? Spend, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it takes to learn this new movement pattern that's going to be better for you, that will last you for the rest of your life, or deal with injuries and problems that might plague you for the rest of your life and might put you out entirely. If you're wearing big, thick shoes, you might do the same thing my dad did. He had no proprioceptive ability, didn't know where his feet were in space, wasn't paying attention, couldn't feel things, didn't have mobility, tripped on a tiny little thing, fell down, broke his hip. 2 weeks later, he was no longer alive. So which is the better option? Spend a little bit of time learning something that's good for you, or a long period of time where you might be still getting hurt, or setting yourself up for something much, much worse. One thing to point out also, when you're learning a new anything, but especially a movement pattern, think about playing the guitar or playing the flute or playing tennis or running. You learn with bouts that are frustrating. In other words, you're going to try something and it'll feel weird, it'll feel awkward because it's new, and then you rest for some period of time. And that is where the learning happens. That frustrating feeling is just trying to break out of one neural path and create a new neural path. And where your brain figures that out is when you are resting, when you are sleeping even. So no one seems to get dumbstruck by the fact that you can try something, it'll feel frustrating. A week later, you try it again and you're suddenly better. What happened? Learning. And learning happens during the resting in between bouts of trying to lay down new neural pathways. So anyway, that was much more than I think you were expecting, but I hope that's what you were asking for. It's literally, we're actually trying to develop something where, if you're going to try to develop an app, it's really, how'd you feel? Not good, rest, try something different. Here's some suggestions. Feeling good? Cool, add a few seconds. That's it. And the fun part is you never stop learning. There's always a little something. I learned a new way to walk uphill about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. Maybe I'll tell you about it. It's weird. It makes you look like a complete dork, but it's really fun and takes no effort. I will tell you about it, but in a sec. Okay. Yikes, Gabe, I hope that was helpful. All right, moving on. Mark, shoe recommendations, please. Mostly being used for going to the park with my dog. Grass sometimes gets long and wet, so I want something that's at least water resistant. Occasionally use them for hiking. If you added the hiking part, then I would say for water resistant, our Denver, the leather, although you can treat the canvas. The Mesa Trail waterproof, it's waterproof. The Excursion Fusion, waterproof. The Daylight Hiker, water resistant. The Aqua Export, water goes in and out of it. The Kelso, water resistant because it's leather. The Prio All Day Slip Resistant, water resistant leather and very slip resistant. I don't know about on grass. That's a whole different story. It's more made for like service workers, for example, nurses, people who work in kitchens, waiters, waitresses, etc., salon workers. So it's got a slip resistant sole, but I don't know how that works on grass. I do know it works well on ice. But since you said occasionally hiking, then I'm going for our hiking products first and foremost. Or, you get something for hiking, something for not hiking. So that would be, and if you go to xeroshoes.com/select and take our shoe finder quiz, you might get some info there as well. Suka, are the aqua sandals in all sizes available in Australia? I don't know. I'm not looking at the website. Australia is a distributor, so he buys inventory from us and then resells it. So I would contact them directly and find out what's happening with the aqua cloud sandal. I don't know. Sorry. Only when stock lasts. No, if we sell out, we sell out because we're growing really fast. We try to figure out what people want to buy. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong in either direction. Sometimes we have too much, sometimes we have too little. So if they're out of stock, just check with them about when they're getting more in. It's not, we're still making it. So if he's just out of stock, he's temporarily out of stock. James says to Gabe, it depends on the person. My wife and I had no transition time. We just immediately took to them, but I've known other people who would wear Xeros for part of the day, then switch and gradually wear them longer and longer. Mark, I would say the new Mesa Trail waterproof for the excursion, if you prefer more of a boot feel. I love when people are answering for me. I just didn't see it. Virenjith, agreed. The most environmentally thing you can do is buy good products and use them for a long time. Deneen, finally get to visit your store. We have a store in East Denver, by the way. I got to try on all the new styles. I like the old HFS better. Be interesting to go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and let people know why. That would be really, really helpful. Deneen, I would really, really appreciate it. You can also email me and tell me that because I'd love to hear it. Anyway, my sister has had 10 surgeries from a motorcycle accident, needs support due to a rod in her leg. Yikes. Any suggestions? Anything really. If by support you mean like an arch support, you can put that in any shoe. So it's just what your sister likes for style, frankly. Jeff, anyone in big shoe companies tried to shut you down? Yes. Way back when we had a $1.5 million order with a major retailer, and one of the big shoe companies, coincidentally, on the day they were going to click submit and place the order, called and said, we don't want Xero shoes in your stores. And that was when we were a tiny, tiny little company. And I remember being very upset at first, but then thinking, wow, if they're afraid of us now, just wait. Let's see. And by the way, that store eventually did start carrying us. Kathleen, cool to see you on Amazon now, although I haven't bought there yet. We don't make as much money when you buy on Amazon, FYI. And the price is basically the same. So, but we've been there for quite a while, actually new in the UK and new in Europe. That's been within the last year. Christopher's replying to Jeff. Yeah, I'm seeing more and more bigger names getting at least wider toe boxes. We're getting a lot of bigger names. Well, they're doing those bigger names. They're getting a little wider, kind of, but not necessarily going, for doing it the right way. Anyway, any plans for new colors for the HFS 2? Prior sued for spring. I don't know what that means. We just launched that shoe, so we're not planning on new colors immediately because we just brought it out. But if you have recommendations or suggestions for new colors, go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and leave those there. Bilal, do you recommend wearing toe spacers and toe socks? I don't recommend it or not recommend it. I don't for either of those because I don't wear socks because I'm lazy and I don't like the effort it takes to put them on when I'm trying to get out of the house. And I don't wear toe spacers because I don't need them. But I know people who really benefit from those. So if you want to try them, try them. Best thing I can say. Deneen says, I love your team and thanks for the water bottle. Thanks. I'm not sure what the water bottle is, but okay. John, I'm a barefoot runner. I just had a total knee replacement. I'm 4 weeks from that date and it feels okay to run. I didn't have a knee replacement, but I had a big chunk of cartilage taken out of my knee 20 something years ago. And I couldn't run without pain when I was in regular shoes. Once I get out of those shoes, not a problem, which is similar to research from Dr. Isabel Sacco in Brazil. She put minimalist shoes on elderly women who had knee osteoarthritis, and over 6 months, their pain either went down or disappeared, and their osteoarthritis either went down or disappeared. And I don't think she followed up after 6 months. I would be interested to see what happened after that. And all that comes from using your body naturally, letting your muscles, ligaments, and tendons do their job which is not only for being springs and shock absorbers, but joint protectors as well when you use them correctly. Jeff, inner game stuff. Thanks for changing lives. Thank you, Jeff. That's why we're here. James, I've yet to have anyone actually try Xero Shoes that didn't end up liking them. The only people who didn't switch were people who wouldn't try them because they look funny. Hopefully they'll give new ones a try. I'll tell you a funny story about this. There's a group that I know, they all work in a warehouse, and most of the people switched to minimalist footwear. And there were 3 who didn't like them. They tried them and were like, this doesn't work for me. But after like 6 months or so, when everybody else was having amazing results, they tried again, they switched to. And the guy who manages that warehouse, or the doctor that works with the people in that warehouse, he says, when I do presentations, I can't tell people that we had a 100% adoption rate because they don't believe me. He says, I can't tell people that I stopped treating a whole lot of lower extremity issues because they don't believe me. So eventually, hopefully that'll change. When will we see more solid black Glens? That's from Jeff as well. I don't have an answer because I can't keep track in my head of when new inventory is arriving. Suffice it to say, over the next couple of weeks to a couple of months, but I don't know. Feel free to email our customer happiness team at support@xeroshoes.com, and they will know. I can't store that in my head. Pam, just switched to Xero Shoes last month for running. Only took a couple of runs and I was hooked. My knees and hips have never felt better after a run. Thank you very much for making such a great product. Thank you, Pam, for your wonderful feedback and for sharing that. The number one thing that has grown our business, word of mouth. People stopping you on the street saying, hey, what are those? Or, hey, those look dorky, or whatever they say, or bumping into someone else wearing Xero Shoes, or someone who already recognizes that. And then the other thing is people, who get used to what we're doing and they don't want to go back. And half of our orders are coming from people who are buying their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, 20th pair of shoes. So thank you. All right, James, again, the Prio SR is good on grass. Good to know. I'll have to wear it sometimes. I'll wear it sometimes on wet days, disc golfing as well. The tread is pretty good anywhere. Good to know. Derek says, I love the scramblers. Me too. Kathleen, I own the men's HFS, by the way, talking about the width comment. There are other shoes that may stretch a little more, but send us pics and, we'll see what's going on. We may not make a wider shoe, but we are talking, or like a whole thing that's separate, but here's the thing. Foot width, and it's not width, foot volume, because, look, these are the same volumes. This is not wide. This is wide. Get it? So foot volumes exist on a bell curve. Some people really low volume, some people really high volume. And what we try to do is make shoes that fit as much of that bell curve as possible. If we skew too far on the narrow side or the low volume side, then the people with higher volume feet, they can't wear those. And conversely, if we skew towards the higher volume side, people with lower volume feet can't wear those. So we're trying to find that right balance to cover as much of that spectrum as possible. And we're always learning. And again, some shoes, they have different performance characteristics. So our leather shoes stretch, our canvas shoes stretch. Some of the shoes that we make that have, knit uppers, they stretch more as well. So there's no perfect way of doing this, which pains me to no end. The things I have learned, 14 years in the footwear industry, I wish I hadn't learned some of them because they are really just frustrating and annoying. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful. But again, send pictures, send info, and we'll see what we can do. Any plans on doing a formal loafer slip-on shoe? I can't say yes or no. It's the best thing I can say. I will say that I brought it up the other day, but go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and leave that as a suggestion, because that's how we decide what to do next, is based on your feedback. Prio suede. Any new colors for the Prio suede? Okay, now I get it. Thank you. I don't know, actually, but if you have ideas for colors that you would want, go to xeroshoes.com/feedback, leave them there, ideally with links to show the color you're talking about. Because if someone just says red, that could mean literally 1,000 different things. So by the way, I'm so glad that I remembered what you were talking about, Thomas Andrews, 1942, maybe when you were born, don't know. Because I don't keep this stuff in my head after I answer a question. It is gone. Leave a link for colors that you're talking about and we'll see. Bilal, what's the best exercise to strengthen and stretch the Achilles tendon? Strengthening tendons is a very interesting thing. Stretching tendons, also a very interesting thing. 99 times out of 100, you do not need to stretch the tendon. More often, what you need to remind your brain is that it's safe to use it at its fully stretched length. In terms of building strength, the best thing you can do is by doing things that put it under a little bit of strain at length, of course. So you could do that with weights. So like standing on stairs, letting your heels drop down, and just you could do that with body weight, frankly. That's something. And you could do that just from doing things like running, where you're landing properly midfoot and letting your heel come down. But here's the thing about both stretching, if it's possible, there's arguments about that, and strengthening tendons. It takes a lot of time, in part because there's not a lot of blood flow around tendons, and in part because strengthening anything takes time, and it takes even more time the older you get. So I would contend that if you search for Achilles tendon strengthening exercise, you might find some other things beyond what I just said. But do keep in mind, it takes a while. You need to do it at length. And stretching is not, you're really not even going for stretching. Like most people think if they're stretching their Achilles, they're really stretching their calf. And even then, what you're usually learning to do is tell your brain that it's safe to let that muscle or tendon do some stretching. It's less likely that you're actually stretching than you're just letting your brain know, oh, okay, I can tolerate that. Do with that what you will. You know what? Take a look at stuff from, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember who did this. There's some stretching books that are all about this, and I'm blanking on the names. I probably have them up in my library up there, but I'm not going to run over to get them. Library, I have 2 bookcases, and they're half empty. So I really have 1 bookcase because I throw away my books if I haven't looked at them for a long time or don't think they're valuable reference books. I'm like that. I don't throw them away. I donate them. Oh gosh, Pavel Tsatsouline, I know he's done some stuff about stretching. I know that Juji Mufu, Juji Mufu, Jujimufu, Juji Mufu. He talks a lot about stretching because he's one of these guys who's a big bodybuilder and does the splits in every direction, puts weights over his head, does the splits. He's talked about that a lot. So anyway, see what you can find there. Hopefully that's helpful. Derek, I'd like a slippers and work shoe, black or brown for my delivery job. Dude, Prio All Day SR. It already exists. So go just do a search for Prio All Day and you'll find the SR part. There it is. James, I used to manage a small warehouse and everyone switched to Xero, and then the company got new management and forced everyone to wear heavy steel toe and steel foot plate shoes. We presented the medical evidence supporting minimalist footwear. They didn't care and insisted we had to wear steel toes. None of us would, and we all left. My lifelong health means much more, and now we have even better jobs. We are working on a protective toe, minimalist natural movement thing, but as you might guess, it's tricky to get all the benefits of natural movement in something with all those things like a midfoot shank and a protective toe, et cetera. But we're working hard on that. Kathleen, spread the bones, not scrunched, has made me more aware of even compression socks. Oh, I get it. We've wanted to sell socks, and I haven't found a company that makes socks that I can put on my feet without wanting to immediately rip them off because they're too squeezy. Working on it. Cannonball James says, replying to Derek, Prio All Day SR in black. It's a great shoe. Highly recommended. There you go. Oh my God, I'm at the end. Wait, almost at the end. From Matt, I'm finding a great way. Oh, wait, I can't. Oh, this is about to try and get hold ankle range to release the calf, Achilles tightness. Sorry, Matt, I'm having a hard time following that sentence, but I know it's about stretching. So finding a great little way is to try to get hood ankle range to release calf Achilles tightness. So try to get your knee down over your foot. Oh yeah, that's another way to do it is if you're standing, get forward so your knee goes over your foot rather than just getting on a stairway. That's another way of doing it. But having a hard time following that, those, I don't know if it was typos from you or typos from someone else. Oh, replying. Yeah. Replying to Matt. That's you replying to you. Wait. Yeah. You replying to you. You get the idea. All right. Anyway, name you gave me, like Van Damme. That's about Jujimufu. Way better. Van Damme was a martial artist and gymnast, and Juji is a full-on strength guy and bodybuilder. Now, he was a martial artist too. That's where he got his flexibility to begin with, but he's maintained it when he's become huge. And by the way, loves Xero Shoes, loves the 360, loves the Forza trainer, and really, really sweet guy. When you see this guy, I mean, he's a big guy doing crazy, crazy things, and just one of the nicest guys that I know. So, hey, I've gotten to the end of the comments. So I'm going to try and wrap it up because we've been here for 46 minutes, and I don't know if my wife has, out of desperation, tried to make some dinner or pulled something out of the freezer, or if I'm going to go down and do that now. But I am starving because I didn't have time for lunch today. So let's just do a last minute whatever while I say a couple of things. So if you have a couple last things, and I already saw one show up, that's cool. But I'm going to just do a couple quick reminders. First of all, thank you for being here. Total pleasure. As I'm sure you can tell, I love doing this. Super fun connecting with you all. Secondly, go to xeroshoes.com or xeroshoes.co.uk or xeroshoes.eu, depending on where you live. Third, if you have any questions, email our customer happiness team, support@xeroshoes.com or support@xeroshoes.eu. And I think support@xeroshoes.co.uk is getting forwarded to somewhere. So you can do that too. If you have any recommendations or suggestions or feedback, xeroshoes.com/feedback. And again, if you're talking about how something fits, send us pictures. If you're talking about colorways that you would like, send us links so we can see what color you're talking about, and that'll help us make decisions. And those are the announcements. So the last three things that came in from Kirk, I just got a pair through Amazon. Initially didn't get them because a neighbor had them. So I got refunded, and then later go to the actual shoes. How can you make sure you guys are paid? Oh, we get paid. I mean, we get paid less from Amazon, but if you're buying from us, I mean, don't worry about it. It all works out in the end. All we're trying to do is get shoes on people's feet. We'll figure out the getting paid part. That's cool. Brady, I jumped in late, recently got the Nexus after wearing the HFS. Now, Sweegos for a couple of years. The Nexus is a great casual shoe, but a less flexible sole. I've noticed it may need a slight break-in period. It's we made it to be it's basically the same outsole as our Forza trainer. So we made it to be useful for something as aggressive as training, but comfortable as well. So it's a little, quote, less barefoot, if you will, than the HFS on purpose. But if you think, hey, it needs something a little different, drop us a note. I will tell you though, here's one thing that is a problem with all of us humans. We think that our individual experience is the same as everybody else's. And so what I can tell you is there are times where I have said, I'm not crazy about this particular thing, about this particular shoe. And then every review is telling me that I'm completely full of it. And people are like, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, all 5-star reviews. So I just shut up. And, or, I do something to, make it work for me. One thing you can do actually, Brady, and try it, see what happens, is pull the sock liner, if you want to be technical, or insole out of the Nexus and see if that makes a difference for you. Might not, don't know. Kathleen says, I'm a believer. And I love that song. And James, a lot of disc golfers love Xero. You guys should consider sponsoring events. That's a great idea. I don't know that world very well. Drop us an email and just send it to our customer happiness team and tell them to forward it to me. And let's find out about doing that. That'd be great fun. Oh, the white water bottle with the logo. Oh, that came out. Got it. I get it. I know where that came from. That was a European thing. If original HFS is more flexible, the new version, can you consider remaking it? We won't remake it, but we might modify the new version. So drop that again. Now, again, this is one of those things, just like I said, some people who have the original have that opinion about the new one. A lot of people who have the original love the new one. People who don't have the original love the new one. So it's a tricky balancing act. Look, if you want to go for something that's going to give you the most barefoot feel, Speed Force, just so you know. FYI. But do leave that feedback because it's helpful for us as we're developing things. And look, I will confess this. No one gets it perfect, but we're always trying to do things better. It's the best thing I can say. And that's what we're trying to do. So I got to the end. Hey, I got to the end almost. Oh, crap. The F24 poll didn't work. Just some funny characters as the options. Send an email to our customer happiness team and let them know. I know that we are getting results from the poll, so maybe try a different device, different computer or something and see what happens. because we know that it works because we tested it before we sent that out. But for you, it didn't. So pass that on to our customer happiness team. They will figure out what's going on. Brady, will do. Thank you. Great product. Only shoes we buy now. Happy to hear that. Thank you so much. We hear that from a lot of people and families, so I appreciate that. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Pagosa, that's just a question mark. I'm assuming the question is, are we getting more in? The answer is yes. The answer is I don't know when. That sold so much better than we planned. Again, we try to figure it out, but don't know. Odd man in the sea. I don't have an answer for you. Hopefully we will. What you can do, if you can send screenshots, that will be really, really helpful for us to figure out what's going on and let us know what kind of computer or device and browser you're using. That's the only way we can diagnose these things. Because I actually tested that thing and it worked fine. So I don't have a good answer for you, but we'll find it and solve it. All righty. The name you gave me says, enjoy your evening. I'm having chicken pot pie. Okay, cool. Odd man did that. Hoping you sent screenshots. Hoping that's the part you mentioned. We'll figure it out. I won't figure it out. Not my job. So anyway, thank you all again. It's been a total pleasure. As I say at the end of every one of these, Lena and I and the rest of the Xero Shoes team, of which there are now a lot, almost 90, could not be more grateful for you and your support. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. We started this as a little company in the corner on a floor. The floor of a corner of a spare bedroom. And here we are almost 14 years later with, again, almost 90 people in multiple countries with distributors around the world. And the only reason we're doing this is because of what my wife says. There's no need to have another shoe company in the world. There's more than enough shoe companies, unless your shoes change people's lives, whether that's being comfortable or literally helping people do things they haven't done in years or do things they've never done before, or just enjoy what they're doing when they're on their feet. So thank you again. Spread the word, go out, have fun, and live life feet first.